In June of 1989, Sega released the Altered Beast arcade cabinet. 7 months later, America's first dedicated furry convention was held in Costa Mesa, California. 2 years later, in 1991, the Altered Beast Sega Genesis port was replaced as the console pack-in game by Sonic the Hedgehog. It's all a complex, interwoven tapestry is what I'm saying. Today, we pay tribute to this looming cultural legacy by reinvigorating this long-dormant property with pitches from 4 erstwhile corpses, bidden to rise from their graves and rescue this series. Welcome to Armchair Devs, Altered Beast. Yes, welcome to Armchair Devs. My name, same as it ever was, is Dr. Agro, and today I am joined by a veritable cavalcade of raw pitching talent. First up, we have Dan Video Games from Gigaboots.com.
Not sure about you guys, but I am in fact an Altered Beast right now. I am Human, which means I'm 2 humans combined.
More human than human. We have Bob Video Games, also from Gigaboots.com.
Hey guys.
KZ Excellent from, let me see if I've got this right, KinoRawGoatswag.com?
That is correct. My pitch will implode at some point. The question is when.
Ominous. And Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
I have risen from my grave to produce the strongest pitch I've ever had.
Oh, shit.
Promising. Okay, so first up, we have our elevator pitches. Each of our contestants will be given 30 seconds to introduce, explain, and sell me on their game concept. First up, we have Bob. Bob, when you begin speaking, the timer will start.
The hit film Altered Beast has made the world aware of the exploits of the dark magician Neff. Now Neff appears in modern-day Hollywood, taking over film sets to increase his global influence. It's up to the reincarnation of Athena along with her 3 Centurion warriors to top him. Altered Beast 2, Trouble on the Set, is a highly replayable lane-based beat-em-up with branching paths, a time-of-day system, 2 unique transformations for every character, and super transformations.
Okay, let me finish a couple of those notes there. Okay, next up, we have KZ Excellent. KZ, whenever you're ready.
Middle school sucks. Or at least that's what 12-year-old Jimmy Baxter thinks after a terrible first week of 7th grade. Jimmy takes an unfamiliar route home and has a deadly run-in with secret agents, a mysterious liquid, and a heavy-duty truck that crushes him to death. But it's thanks to the toxic waste that Jimmy is able to rise from his grave, now with the ability to morph into a variety of animal forms. Can Jimmy use the power to save his town from evil and avoid flunking science class? You'll have to play Animorphs, the Altered Beast to find out.
Animorphs. The Altered Beast. Okay, that was certainly a thing.
That's what I always strive for. You know, a pitch that makes you go, man, I sure had to listen to that.
All right, moving on. Next up for the elevator pitches, we have Mr. Feel. Mr. Feel, take it away.
Altered Beast is back and better than ever in a new reboot aimed at stylish and heart-pounding action and aesthetic. Play as Saigai Abare, Disaster Rampage, an amnesiac young man who rises in a secret lab owned by the evil Nyx Corporation in the midst of it being destroyed by the very experiments developed within. Explore Neo Olympia, a cyberpunk megalopolis to solve the mystery of your past and get revenge on those who wronged you in this 40-hour beat-em-up adventure, Altered Beast Megalopolis.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Feel. And last and potentially least, we have Dan Video Games. Dan, please bring up the rear.
Holding true to the original game's strengths, The Altered Beasts will be a side-scrolling beat-em-up with stunning Unreal Engine 4 graphics, inspired by the greatness of Ray Harryhausen's claymation monsters, and accompanied by a soundtrack that's high-octane fusion of rock and techno. Cliff, a dead soldier, rises from his grave to find his village burned down and more questions than answers. Follow him on his murder quest to get revenge and strong as shit by turning into various werebeasts in The Altered Beasts.
Time. All right. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So I've definitely been given 4 pitches here. There's a lot of material to work with. To start off with, I'm gonna go over to Feel here. Feel,
Yes.
can you real quick give me your main character's name one more time?
This is Japanese style, so last name first. Saigai Abare.
All right. So you're pitching me a cyberpunk themed Altered Beast game taking place in, let's see here, Neo Olympia.
Yes.
Altered Beast Megalopolis. I'd like you to tell me a little bit more about your setting, please.
Well, Neo Olympia is a planned city by the evil Nyx Corporation. They built it on a artificial island off the coast of Japan. They are using it as a front to do biological and magical experiments in their secret labs that make up all the tunnels that happen under the city.
All right.
And, the top is like a cyberpunk. It looks like Blade Runner 2047 and Brand New Animal.
I'm sure in more ways than one. All right. Thank you, Mr. Feel. KZ Excellent.
Hello, it is I.
Your game, Animorphs, the Altered Beast.
Yeah.
Main character, Jimmy Baxter, 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And did he die in the opening pitch? Is that what I caught?
Well, yes, of course. He needs to rise from his grave.
Okay.
So he
makes sense.
he unfortunately is crushed to death by a truck, but thankfully, the toxic waste seeped into him and altered his DNA and gave him special abilities and allowed him to come back.
He got crushed by the truck, but thankfully, using his Animorph powers, got the DNA of a guy who wasn't crushed by a truck.
Well, you see, the DNA first let him take on the abilities of a cat. 9 lives.
Fantastic. So, hit by a truck, reincarnated in his own world with superpowers. I like it. It's a bold new twist.
Mm-hmm.
Dan.
Mm-hmm.
The Altered Beasts.
Yes.
It's a very Ridley Scott title to go with, but
Thank you. I'm glad you noticed.
I'd like you to tell me what type of game is this? Give me the genre. What's your gameplay feel like? Give me the rundown.
Okay, so moment to moment, you might relate it to the original game, side-scrolling beat 'em up, but it actually has a much larger scope and structure because it has RPG elements. Beating up enemies will get you experience to help you gain levels. There's equipment you will find in the various levels you can find on the overworld map. There are abilities you can unlock that are optional by finding secret areas. So, for example, moment to moment, you're just doing a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but in the first area, you're going to fight a small boss who evidently is the one who burned down the village, and it is a werewolf. And once you defeat him, you gain his power to become the Altered Beast. So you gain the werewolf form.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you very much. Bob?
Yes.
In Altered Beast 2, Trouble on the Set, you mentioned your game had a few features in it, including a day-night cycle.
Uh-huh.
And I believe you said lane switching?
Yes.
Okay. Would you please elaborate on this cornucopia of tacked-on features for me, please?
Well, the day-night cycle is there to offer more replay value. You'll have 3 times of day, and depending on what order you go through the stages, you'll get to experience the stages at different times of day, which cause for different environment effects and enemies. And the lane system is similar to Guardian Heroes, where it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but you can switch between 2 separate lanes. So you have more people on screen at once for the co-op that's in the game.
All right. Reference to a game no one's ever heard of. There we are. Okay.
You can also think of it like Fatal Fury. You've heard of that,
I could,
right?
but
Please?
it's too late for that now.
Oh, no!
All right, that'll do it for our first round of questioning. Moving on to this second round here. KZ Excellent.
Hello, it is I.
Please elaborate on how being covered in goo allows your main character to gain these new powers and how that comes out in the gameplay.
Well, you see, there was goo on the back of this truck,
Mm-hmm.
and it said it was like some special like organizations, like weird magic goo that this evil organization was using. It's a very long acronym, but it reads out as Sega. And it, upon reaching the skin, just altered the character's DNA and allowed them to not only come back to life, but also be able to possess animals. I somehow feel like I will never say anything about my pitch beyond what I had in my summary.
All right. Thank you, Casey. Excellent.
Kill you.
Mr. Field,
Yes.
Cyberpunk is always an interesting setting. Who's doing the art direction for your game?
Well, we're going to be having Sega internal artists do it, but we do have some celebrity artists to design the protagonist's beast forms and design one antagonist each. So those are going to be Kota Hirano of Hellsing, Hiroya Oku of Gantz, Hitoshi Iwaki of Parasite, Kentaro Miura of Berserk, and for the Zoomers, Sui Ishida of Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay, thank you very much. Dan, video games.
Dr. Aggro.
Altered Beast seems to be a series that has a lingering reputation for being about 10 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you up front, what is your planned content value proposition for this title?
So we're going to structure each level in not a linear manner per se. There will be an obvious entrance and exit, but it will be both vertical and horizontal, allowing for exploration in a Metroidvania-like fashion. This is how we're going to hide equipment and other valuable things away in certain levels, opening new routes on the world map, similar to Super Mario World or other games like that, which will build out the replay value of each area. It is very similar to the indie hit Odalis in that sense.
All right. Thank you very much. Reference to a game people have heard of.
Ouch.
All right. Bob,
Yes.
your game seems to take place in Hollywood.
Yes.
That's the rumor I've heard.
Through the grapevine.
How many references to Golden Age Hollywood films per minute would you say appear in your game?
Per minute, at least 3. Is he?
Every 20 seconds?
Yeah. There's the whole thing. You're constantly, every stage is set in a set. The whole thing is a reference to a movie, so you have to have references like basically constantly.
I see.
Okay.
That makes sense. A lot of background art.
Yes.
You said every level's a set?
Yes, every level is set.
How many levels?
8 levels.
Name them.
Let's see. These are going to be using real movie names, but in the final product, that's not the case. Okay? Just to be clear, this isn't copyright infringement. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Terminator, Aliens, Star Wars, The Old West, Fast and the Furious,
Yes!
a compilation of horror movies,
Okay, pretty good.
Die Hard,
Yes!
oh no, I wasn't counting.
That's 7.
Hopefully
Okay.
Die Hard 2.
And then there's also going to be a Greek mythology one. The final stage.
Jason on the Argonauts.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the Die Hard one now because I'm just imagining the beast transformation and he has a sandwich board with a slur on it.
You said Die Hard, not Die Hard 3.
Okay.
Oh God! Just Altered Beast like recreating the Die Hard 2 CG effect of him shooting out of the helicopter into the camera.
I believe that's 2 rounds of questions, which discharges my obligation for this section of the show. All right. Moving on then. After an extensive period of reflection and soul searching and rereading my contract, it turns out that I was in fact obligated to ask each of our contestants today to prepare a piece of art for us. I have asked them to provide for us an image of one of the beast forms in their game. Mr. Feel, please present your art.
Okay, now, Abare has many beast forms in the game. He has a werewolf, a mantis, a squid, a rhino, and this is the most power-focused one, which is a T-Rex.
Wow!
Wow.
T-Rex.
Maybe.
Is that T-Rex wearing gray sweatpants and a little red cape?
That's supposed to be his red jacket and his gray like cargo pants.
Okay.
To me, it reads like Aladdin turned into a T-Rex suddenly. Something about the upper.
Genie, I wish I was strong.
Just the wow just makes me think if this is just Dinosaur Doge.
This is stunning line work, Feel. I've really gotta commend you on this one.
You're right. I definitely didn't load a coloring book into Photoshop and make a layer over it. I draw.
This is absolutely a step up in quality. So, man, I feel sorry for the guy who's got to follow that one. On a completely unrelated note, Dan Video Games, if you would please show me your altered beast.
Okay, so as I was saying before, there are many werebeasts in this game that you can become. This is one of the optional ones. It's a secret. You will not get it by playing the game without being diligent. I am proud to show you our Drop Bear inspired werebeast. It is based on the Thylacoleo Carnifex, which is the seeming inspiration for a drop bear. It is a marsupial lion that can climb trees. This motherfucker's badass. He's got the thumb knives and everything.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you fight dinosaurs in your game?
Yes.
Man, look at him. He's pogging.
It is,
Feels T-Rex is screwed.
He's see, the great thing about the drop bear, which we're just gonna call it a drop bear, even though there's we have the name there. The best thing about it is the climbing abilities and the speed at which you move makes it a really balanced one because it is stronger than most of them, but it's not the strongest. The werehorse is the strongest one.
oh, of course. I assume that it loves being strong.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Dan, for this creepy watercolor painting in what is definitely a haunted house. Moving on from that, KZ Excellent, please,
Bonjour.
please reveal to me your Animorph.
All right, so. So in my game, all you have to do is like touch these animals. And you'll be able to,
Is your game on the DS?
all you have to do is touch these animals, and then animal stuff happens.
Animals too. I completely misunderstood Casey's pitch, I guess. I should have pitched that.
Is it too late for me to give up?
Yes.
Fuck! Alright, in my game, you touch animals and then you can transform into them. In my game, which is... I'm not even going to attempt to expand upon my game. There's no hope left in it, but I will at least give you this. My form that I decided to conceptualize and bring to you today is an iguana.
Oh, he's got the cool S.
Yeah, he is. 'Cause he's in middle school, so this is his shirt, but his body like turns in and gets the features of an iguana. Gives him powerful iguana abilities.
Like what?
Is the cool ass the iguana ability, or did he have that before?
No, it's just his uniform. His iguana, he's got the scales and stuff, so he has more defense, so he has more health. But it's an iguana, so you move 90% slower.
I don't know if I should point this out, Casey, but iguanas aren't very slow.
I mean, not on 4 legs, they're not.
That's true. Yeah, I guess he's trying to
Yeah,
stand up.
that's what's going on.
This isn't a beast game, Bob. This is an altered beast game.
Fair.
Altered to be slow as shit.
Is there a reason the cool S is backwards?
Because it's cool.
Casey just leaves the call.
It's an altered ass. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Casey. Excellent. Now, Bob,
Yeah.
How did I do it backwards?
I feel like after this clearly haunted watercolor,
I have to go.
nothing you're about to send me
Oh,
is going to be worse.
Okay.
But I'm, in the spirit of fair play, obligated to give you this platform to attack me. So, Bob,
Here we go.
what the fuck is that?
This is one of my 4 playable characters, John, in his owl form.
John!
Isn't this motherfucker from Soul Calibur?
I'm pretty sure that's a villain from the 3rd arc of Fairy Tail.
Yes, he is. He sucks so bad.
I wouldn't know about that. As you can see, he has wind powers. That's why he only has 1 wing. He doesn't need the other wing.
Oh shit.
He can fly
That's
anyway.
cool.
That's really
raw.
cool. Is there a lore reason he's standing backwards?
I don't draw feet too good. Oh no, I wanted to show off he's an owl so he can turn his head backwards.
Oh, okay. That's deeply menacing.
Yes. It's his time.
Oh, I'm thinking of Olkadan. That's the guy from Soul Calibur.
okay. Well, Bob, I'd like to thank you for this drawing that, while not traditionally horrifying, its broad back and well-defined thighs make me uncomfortable in new and different ways.
That's just how Ultra Beast is. I'm sorry.
Bob used the back from Baki as a reference.
12,000 bones and all of them hollow. Okay, so now that I've cleared that hurdle, it's time for yours truly to take something of a break. I'm going to have each of our contestants in turn question each of their competitors in turn. And we are going to start with Bob Video Games.
Oh no. All right. KZ.
Yeah.
I'm working on it here. I'm going to
There's
give you
so much you could ask me. You've learned nothing.
what kind of game is it? just that free gun to shoot.
It is an action platformer. Stage-based. Yeah, that's it.
So like Gex or like
Oh, okay. So it's like linear progression based on like chapters and stuff. So you'll like do a stage that can take anywhere from like 15 to 20 minutes. You're beating dudes up because you know it had beat 'em up roots, but it's still like a 3D platformer type of thing. So you'll like hit up an enemy and like morph into them to solve problems and get to the end of a stage. That type of thing.
okay.
But it's like linear progression, so it's not like you go into a hub in Gex and jump into the fucking TV or anything. It's like you get to the end, it moves on with the narrative.
Great. I'm glad to hear something about your video game.
I know. I was getting scared. I almost considered answering every single one of these with my opening pitch.
Dan,
Hey,
can you tell me more about the setting for your game, like where it takes place?
vaguely Greek-inspired geography. It's not overly specific. We don't give a name to the area you're in. It's just very green pastures and mountains with bordering oceans. It's nothing overly interesting. It's more of a backdrop to the events of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't use proper names for any places, so you won't be seeing Athens or anything like that. I felt like that detracted a little bit too much from the original energy of Altered Beast, which is not being serious, just being fucking awesome.
Mr. Feel.
Come at me.
How many transformations will you have?
There are 5. Werewolf, dinosaur, mantis, squid, and rhino.
Cool.
Okay.
We already went through that.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
man.
this is an armchair dev staple.
Yes.
Somebody asked a question that's already been answered.
So, KZ, what is the aesthetic of your game?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's a little bit of cell shading, bit of a 90s, early 2000s cartoon look, to really add to the overall look and aesthetic and tone.
Thank you, Casey,
God.
for answering.
I need this, man. That's the best part. I've never had to deal with this situation before.
Well, Mr. Feel, if you'd like to continue your turn.
Okay, certainly. Bob,
Sure, what's up?
your game takes place in Hollywood. How will it address the rampant sexual abuse of young stars in Hollywood?
It won't.
Do it.
It just won't mention that.
Why
This is
not?
a DLI's video game version.
That's incredibly morally irresponsible, but okay.
You want to beat an altered beast, don't you?
Ugh. Here's a boss fight on the casting couch.
Woof.
Looks like the true base of Neff is this island with a building with a gold dome on it.
You have to play the casting couch boss over and over again, or else you can't unlock the next level.
Welcome to your doom indeed.
Dan,
Hi.
who's the composer for your game?
I'm absolutely thrilled that you asked. It's going to be Masayoshi Sasaki, who is known as Masa when credited on the Musou games. So this will be a Dynasty Warriors 3 fusion of techno and shredding guitar. He is known for many different Musou games, but in particular we'll be pulling inspiration from his Dynasty Warriors 3 tracks of Rough Play version 2, Yellow Storm version 2, and Superior. These are going to be very upbeat tracks, keeping you excited to play through the whole level, and there will be an alternative Genesis chiptune soundtrack composed by Savage Regime.
Okay. That was all 3. Somebody else go.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Mr. Feel. KZ, please.
I'll start with Feel.
Yes.
Oh, I've got one. All right. So, how many beasts do you got in there, and what are they? I got him. He doesn't have an answer for me.
That's right.
Okay. Bob, do you have any DLC plans for your game?
Of course, it's the complete package without the DLC, but we will be having extra characters if the game sells well enough. This is basically like the Streets of Rage 4 style of having extra characters. We'll say it if the game sells.
That is reasonable and responsible. I can respect it. I'm going to move on to Dan.
Hi.
What will be the Xbox Series S enhancements for your game?
Well, we have Series X enhancements. Series S is more of a compromise situation where the game will run fluidly at a 1080p 60, which will be impressive considering how good this game will look with its PBR materials that look so much like claymation when it comes to the giant monsters you fight, like the giant cephalopods, minotaurs, krakens, manticores, talos, huge fucking bees, Medusa, and demon trees. So you will be impressed by how this game looks on the Xbox Series S.
That'll be really good. As an owner of an Xbox Series S, hypothetically, how
they all are hypothetical.
would this take up my entire hard drive? I'm very concerned about how big this game might be.
It's big, but it's much smaller than it is on the Series X. But we assure you, you won't notice the difference.
Oh, that's it for me.
All right. Dan Video Games, you are given license now to ask questions.
So I write down my questions as the episode goes. Bob, my original question, don't answer this, was going to be, does the original design for the Sonic film Sonic show up in your game? I'm no longer interested in that. I have bigger questions.
Sure.
How does a day-night cycle work if all of your levels are on sets?
It has an approach where it's an old school Hollywood, so these are sets for more modern movies, but they're open air. So it's all out in the open. And Neff is taken over, so he's like corrupted the area.
So this is kind of like we're just moving across that giant-ass set that Fox used to own or bought, where it's just a huge plot of land?
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking backlot on a movie studio where we're just moving from building to building, but this kind of answers that question. Thank you, Bob.
No problem.
Feel.
Yeah.
Yes or no question. You ready?
Okay.
Vaporwave aesthetic?
No.
Okay. Thank you. KZ.
Howdy.
I'll have you know I wrote a question during your pitch, but things have played out very cruelly
What
for
was the
you.
original one? Just like
The original question was, does your character play the sax? I don't want to ask that. I don't want to ask that because things have gone. I literally don't know what your game is. So I'm gonna
the bassoon, by the way.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask you, KZ.
Yes.
Who's the bad guy? Is it a big bad evil person, or is it just some contractor who accidentally ran over the main character in a truck?
So there's like the secret evil organization with their weird Sega goo and all this stuff where they're trying to take over the city.
Mm-hmm.
But as it turns out, the main villain is also the leader of that organization, but also the principal farts.
I can't believe Principal farts. How could he? Knew he was up to no good. Well, that's all my questions.
It expertly interlinks the evil organization with the most evil thing for a child, the school system.
Agreed.
All right. It is at this point in proceedings that I would like to allow, magnanimously, I feel I should add, each of our contestants to take the open floor and tell me one thing that thus far no one has asked you about your game that you'd really like to get off your chest. And we are going to start this round with Dan Video Games.
So as I mentioned before, this has a bit of RPG elements to it. You gain levels so you can do more damage. So if the game's too hard, you can just grind stuff out. We think that that's appropriate and important for people in modern games to find a way to make things easier through sheer force of will. And as a part of that system, that RPG system, there's equipment, but it's important to note, while you get armor, like helmets, boots, etc., you never get a weapon. You always hit them with your fists, and as such, the only weapon-like equipment you ever get is knuckle dusters and brass knuckle type things. I think it's really important that Altered Beast is a game where you punch mythical monsters to death.
All right. I appreciate the conviction. Moving on. Mr. Feel, it is your time to shine.
to go along with the ray-traced cyberpunk city, my game will have a soundtrack by Grand Rodeo, Lotus Juice, and Jam Project.
Grand Rodeo is a great choice.
And I haven't heard of. All right. Moving on from there, we have Bob. Bob, what has no one asked you about yet?
The aesthetic of my game, the whole thing's being developed by Vanillaware. So it's going to be beautifully hand-drawn, and you'll really get to see the charge-up attacks every character has when they're in human form as they cause their muscles to expand dramatically, much like in the original Altered Beast.
Oh my god.
It's
George
very
George
good.
Kamitami hand-drawn Terminators.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Casey, excellent. Just in case there's anything about your pitch that you feel you haven't gotten the chance to expound upon yet, this is your opportunity.
I guess I'll talk about the flow of my levels as you go through the game. So each stage is like a chapter. You're running through, since it's like an action platformer, you're running around, jumping, trying to navigate the whether it's the town or parts of the school or whatever, wherever your general goal is. There will be animals wandering around. When you touch them, morph into them, similar to like say Mario Odyssey, where it's like you can capture enemies in that. Doing this will give you different abilities, like some are better at jumping so you can get up to a platform you couldn't do before, or you could slip by certain areas, or maybe there's an enemy that just can't be beaten unless you become an iguana. So it's all just about solving problems, maybe finding a couple of secrets. But it's focused on more of an action, fun, platformy style thing.
All right. Thank you, KZ. Excellent. Okay. Now we have come to the other side of this coin. Each of you contestants will be given an additional 30 seconds to tell me and the listeners at home why your pitch should be chosen, but maybe more importantly, why your competitors' pitches shouldn't. We are going to start off with Mr. Feel. Whenever you start talking.
Bob's pitch? That's like if Bubsy and Gex were transformations in Altered Beast. KZ's pitch? Who still cares about Animorphs? Dan's pitch? Oh, it's stop motion claymation. Who cares? Pick my game. It has Cyberpunk and Lotus Juice and Jam Project. The character's name is Disaster Rampage. Come on. No further statements.
Thank you, Mr. Feel. Okay, moving on. Dan Video Games. Whenever you feel the urge.
Bob's pitch is incredibly on the nose and way too cynical. No one who's a huge fan of the original Altered Beast will think that is an appreciable thing. KZ's pitch is on drugs. I don't know who in the world asked for that or wants that. My pitch, let me tell you, there's a fucking gator form. Your head becomes a giant gator head, and you bite your enemies to death. It's really good. It's a great game. It's really good. I've never seen a good game before. Vote for it.
And time, mercifully
Good,
enough.
good.
All right, thank you, Dan. KZ, excellent.
You should pick my game. Let's look at our other options here. Dan's a game that will never come out. It's a fake. It isn't real at all. You look at Bob's game. It's a Vanillaware game. It'll take 6 years to come out and won't have gameplay in it somehow. Let's look at Feel's game. Looks like a super cool niche game that only one game journalist will like and will talk about for 2 weeks. And will sell 1 copy. My game, though, appeals to the kids that buy Scholastic books in 2020.
And
that's
time.
millions!
All right. Lastly, we have Bob. Bob, whenever you'd like to step into this pool.
My pitch is the only one that has 4 playable characters that lets me hit a lot more variations of furry fandom. I'm done.
Okay, short and to a very specific point.
A barbed point.
Well, now that that cavalcade of acrimony has been aired, I'm going to take a few minutes to review my notes, and when we return, we will, I guess, declare a winner. Now that I've taken a moment to look over the creeping chaos that is my notes for this episode, I've decided to take a page out of Microsoft's book and provide you with no shortage of feedback. Mr. Feel,
Yeah.
your Altered Beast game, Megalopolis, has a refreshing new cyberpunk aesthetic for the modern age that I think is really going to go a long way toward revitalizing this franchise in the common mind space, especially after Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most anticipated games in years, comes out and absolutely dominates that genre. It might be something of a problem, but I don't know. Maybe we can work past it.
Hey, there's always room for one cynical knockoff.
Bob, video games?
Uh-huh.
You have pitched here in Altered Beast 2 Trouble on the Set a delightful romp through our shared cultural history. And by our, I mean Western filmmaking that you have apparently gotten a Japanese company to make. Your game also seems to be morally bankrupt and socially irresponsible, and might end up dragging Vanillaware's good name through the mud.
Oh, that's rough.
But I feel like with a little marketing panache, we might be able to make ends meet on that one. So thank you for your pitch, Casey. Excellent.
I'm alive.
Your game seems to have major market appeal for our core demographic. It contains a lot of tried and tested mechanics and angles. It is also a game marketed to children that contains the death and resurrection of a 12-year-old boy.
I never said that. I don't know where you're getting that from.
I clearly must have been mistaken. Thank you for correcting that.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, video games.
Hi.
The Altered Beasts seems to be a title that hews closely to the original spirit of the action-based arcade side-scrolling romp that was Altered Beast. However, it also seems to have a werehorse that loves being strong.
Yeah.
And you've added a lot of Castlevania-style grinding into it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Which may slow down the non-stop action-packed train that players have come to expect.
I think of it as a good out for people who aren't as skilled as others.
I'm sure you do. With all of that in mind, it is my somber duty to announce that the winner of Armchair Dev's Altered Beast is... I can't fucking believe it. KZ Excellent.
Yes!
KZ, your cel-shaded 3D action platformer with enemy powers being stolen in an Odyssey-esque style game, it really seems exactly the kind of legally distinct genre ripoff that we can just sell the shit out of to, children, and then market a fuck-ass of extras to sell along with it.
To man children.
I cannot believe you pulled this one out.
I can't believe it either. You asked me 2 questions that were answered in my opening pitch.
You overcame a lot of adversity.
I did.
Up to and including my own personal dislike for you.
Yes. As soon as we hit that second question, I'm like, oh my god, he came here to kill me.
I need to go fall off of a raft into a boat in a very comedic manner and then rethink my entire life. In the meantime, thank you for joining us today on Armchair Devs.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Armchair Devs. Podcasts like this and Big Think Dimension are only possible with viewer support. If you'd like to help us in the fight for good content, please show us your support over on patreon.com/gbpodcasts, where you can also listen to the extended pitches that couldn't make it into this episode.